Hi there, this is Nathan with the Smart Coaching Blog, and today I wanted to do a screencast of a presentation I put together for my coaches about experience-based program development, and at least that's what I'm calling it. And the idea behind this is that I want to come up with a set of experiences or skills that when kids leave our program, these are takeaways that they have with them and that they've gained from. So it's sort of like, what do you become as being a part of our program? And so I think PLU's football team used to have the saying that it's not something you do, it's something you become. And that's sort of what we're after here. And hope that I give you some ideas. This isn't the end all be all, but it's sort of early in this process, but I thought I'd share it because I thought it might be helpful for a few people. So to start, what is the purpose of high school athletics? It is to further the mission of the educational institution and to enhance and enrich the experience of student athletes. And so I think that we need to return to this idea on a pretty regular basis, because I think as we're pursuing wins and avoiding losses, we oftentimes forget what our true purpose is as educators. And whether you're an insurance salesman, a garbage man, a produce manager, you're an educator when you are a coach in interscholastic athletics, and it's important for you to understand that. So why do we coach or play or compete in interscholastic athletics? And the reason why is because of the experience we give and receive. And the reason I bring this up is because on my list, there's not going to be fun listed. Fun to me is not a goal. It is a byproduct. Fun for the sake of fun or pleasure for the sake of pleasure is okay now and then, but if that's your main focus, that's what we call hedonism. And it's not a positive thing, in my opinion. And so we need to be mindful of making sure things are enjoyable and having fun and doing all those sorts of things. But, I think Michael Gervais said it in a way on his podcast, Finding Mastery, that really made sense to me, which is, he said you can go out surfing and it will be cold and the surf will be super rough, beating the tar out of you. And over the course of an hour, you catch one wave. And he said, what part of that is fun? Well, the truth is that not much of it was fun at all, but that you don't surf in that case because it's fun. You surf because of the experience you have and the feeling you get from doing that. And I would say that echoes my own experience as a high school and college wrestler. And I think probably for a lot of people, that it's not necessarily fun. There are certainly lots of fun things that we did in college when I wrestled. But that's not why I did what I did. I did it because of the feeling I got and the experience I had. And so I think that that's important, and why I'm starting with the aspect of experience and skills for how we want to develop our program. So the experiences that I came up, or the skills that I came up with, were being able to develop leadership, building relationships, learning to be a selfless member of a team, embracing and trusting the process, and then developing a growth mindset. So we're going to go over these. I've got 15 minutes to do this, so this is going to be quick. And so at the end, I'll give you some contact information if you want more information about why I came up with what I came up with. So the first thing is leadership, and I love the concept of 20 square feet, which comes from Focus 3 and Tim and Brian Kite. They talk about how any person in your organization is going to be responsible for their own 20 square feet. So that's going to be their attitude, their work ethic, their positivity, so on and so forth. And so what we want people to do is first lead themselves. And so we put that in the framework of what the Focus 3 guys call the R factor disciplines. And so that comes from the equation E plus R equals O. E is the event, which you have no control over. O is the outcome, which you have some influence on but do not control. And then the R is your response. So the event plus response equals outcome. Of those three things, the only thing you control is your response. And so, they do a great job teaching skills and a process by which you can do a better job of managing and controlling your response so that it is going to be intentional, purposeful, and skillful. And so that's something that's, the last year I've thought, am I above the line or below the line? If you've read the book by Urban Meyer, Above the Line, he talks about this. And, I think that as a dad, as a teacher, as an athletic administrator, and as a coach, I've gotten better at what I do because I'm focused on, hey, I just lost control. Why did I do that? What happened there? And then the next time that I get in that situation, doing a better job of coming up with the response that the best version of me in that situation would come up with. And so I think it's tremendously important. We're going to do this all the time. We're going to focus on our core principles. We're going to have themes of the week. We're going to find all sorts of ways to reinforce this stuff daily and hopefully teach kids not just to be leaders in their own 20 square feet, but to influence others around them. Relationships are tremendously important in any program, and I think that Brian Cain has it right when he says you got to sail the right ships. It's got to be about relationships before championships. And so I heard recently a coach from Kent Lake, Washington, Coach Paulson, on the Coaching Coordinator podcast talk about how they want all of their kids in their program to feel safe, to feel appreciated, and to feel loved. And I think if you break it down that way and you think about what are we doing this week that is going to make sure that kids are feeling safe, that they're feeling appreciated, they're feeling loved. And some of those things aren't things that, like feeling safe, I mean, that should just be part and parcel of the way you operate, right? But how are we going to show acts of appreciation? How are we going to show the kids that we care about them? And when kids leave our program, we need to be able to ask, did the coaches love us? Did the coaches care about us? Did we have a good relationship with the coaches? And did we have a good relationship with our teammates? And we can't really control our players' teammates or our athletes' teammates, but we can control what our coaches and the adults in our program do. And so I think that that's an important thing for all of us to focus on and to really invest time and be intentional about building relationships. Growth mindset is, if a kid left your program with only a growth mindset, I think that you could call yourself a successful coach and educator. And it is because that growth mindset is going to allow them to do everything else that is important, moving forward in life. And I think if you're going to be a teacher, if you're going to be a plumber, if you're going to be a lawyer or a doctor, having a growth mindset is going to serve you well. And so I love it. This comes from Carol Dweck's book, Mindset, which I'd highly recommend. And I've kind of melded all this together with what Joe DeSena from the Spartan Race calls obstacle immunity. And really for me, growth mindset is just it's the idea that we are not finished products and that we are not dependent upon the circumstances that we're given, whether that be talent, whether that be resources, whether that be, anything else that is, the event that we're presented with. And so, understanding in her TED Talk, Carol Dweck talks about the power of not yet versus the tyranny of now, and how kids can benefit markedly just by understanding the idea of what mindset is. And so we're going to talk about mindset. We're going to talk about obstacle immunity. We're going to talk about The Obstacle is the Way, which is a great Ryan Holiday book that the Seahawks and the Patriots and a number of other organizations have read. And, finally, I'll just say that Coach Caruso from St. Thomas in Division III football program in Minnesota, I believe, spoke a year or so ago at the AFCA convention, and he talked about how we need to ready the child for the path, not the path for the child. And I think that is 100% what having a growth mindset is about. That's 100% of what having obstacle immunity is about. So those are all great resources. Carol Dweck, Joe DeSena, Spartan Up podcast, the book, and then Ryan Holiday's The Obstacle is the Way. And then if you can catch Coach Caruso in one of his talks at the AFCA, those are available on their website. So really good stuff and powerful. If you had just this for your program, I think it could be a cornerstone of doing great things for kids. Dale Mueller, the coach from Kentucky who's won more state titles than any other coach in state history, former coach at Highlands High School, says that his program is focused on building men for others, and that they define being a man as being one of the 5 key elements is being willing to be a selfless member of the team. And I think any of us in team sports understand that, but I think as a guy that spent a lot of time as a head coach of an Olympic individual sport, wrestling, that you are so much better being a member of a great team, and understanding that being a selfless member of a team is really important. Going back to Coach Caruso, University of St. Thomas, or St. Thomas University, he actually gave at the AFCA convention a whole talk about how their program is built around the idea of forget about me, I love you. And I think it's a tremendous talk. I'd highly recommend you checking it out. Ego is the Enemy is a book by Ryan Holiday, who authored Obstacles Way, which I mentioned earlier. And that's really helped me understand that sometimes what you want gets in the way of furthering your mission. So even though you think that, hey, I need to be the starter, I need to get so many catches, or I need to have a particular batting average, that in the long run, that's going to keep you from getting what you want because your ego is getting in the way. I think it's a tremendously powerful book and a great lesson to share with kids. Final thing I'm going to talk about is trusting the process. And, Marcus Aurelius said about 2,000 years ago, a little less than that, you must build up your life action by action and be content if one achieves its goal as far as possible. And no one can keep you from this. And of course, Nick Saban said, don't think about winning the SEC championship. Don't think about the national championship. Think about what is needed, what you needed to do in this drill, on this play, and in this moment. That's the process. Let's think about what we can do today, the task at hand. And so for me, this is just to simplify it, if you don't know, think about what your vision is, those goals that are unreachable for you right now, and ask yourself this question: what right now in this present moment can I do to get closer to that ultimate goal? And so if that's a state championship, what can I do right now in this moment to better prepare my team or myself for doing that? And you just build a roadmap over the course of the year. What are we going to do? And you as a coach may end up having to do that over the course of 5 years. It may be building a feeder program. It may be lots of different things, but the process, tremendously powerful tool. And I mean, it's a mental health tool really, because it's going to get you to focus on the process and not the outcome. All right, this last thing is the Triangle of Success. It comes from Rick Jones at Greenwood, Arkansas. And these are just a lot of the what that we do in our program to take care of the the how and the why. And so I just wanted to share that with you. If you want to get a hold of me, my Twitter handle is @NathanStanley, and my email is right there. Thanks for listening, and hope to have a conversation with you.